Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com, in audio format wherever you get your podcasts, and even in video on YouTube. Today we have another Netflix release. By the time this comes out, it'll be on Netflix. I saw this film in the theaters just during their limited run that they do. I also learned that Netflix owns the Landmark Theaters, so that's why the Landmark Theater nearby me always gets the Netflix movies. So it's all clicking now. Makes sense. Glad I was able to catch this in theaters before it hit streaming. And we're talking Maestro today. And this is the latest film from Bradley Cooper, director, writer, producer, actor, marketer, he's doing it all again. The last time we saw him take on this many roles was for A Star is Born, for which I think everyone can safely say he was robbed of the Best Actor award. Rami Malek did not deserve it. I'm sorry. He didn't. I like him as an actor, but that Bohemian Rhapsody movie, trash. And you know what? I know a lot of people who like it, and I'm sorry if that hurts, but trash. That movie, compared to what Taron Egerton did just as Rocket Man and Elton John, I'm like, when you're singing live, when you're doing this stuff, that matters. That makes a difference. And Bradley Cooper poured his heart and soul into A Star is Born. And I think everyone was pretty shocked and upset that he didn't win. But it feels like nobody was more upset and having something to prove than Bradley Cooper. Because Maestro, for all of its great parts, feels like Bradley Cooper trying to appeal a little bit more to the Academy, going a little more old school Hollywood, a little more showy of a performance for sure. I don't know. I went in knowing next to nothing about Leonard Bernstein, and I feel like I came out of the movie feeling like I still knew next to nothing about Leonard Bernstein. And Bernstein, a famous composer and conductor, which is a distinction because the two are very, just as well as he can compose a symphony, he can conduct an orchestra. He knows how to play all these parts. He knows how to write music. He ended up writing musicals at one point. I don't know. I just, for what is touted as a story, it's so, and I'm just reading you the synopsis on IMDb because this is all that I read going in. This is all I knew. I just knew Bradley Cooper was doing everything. It says this love story chronicles the lifelong relationship of conductor-composer Leonard Bernstein and the actress Felicia Montalegre, Cohen Bernstein. So, and the way the movie starts out is kind of like an interview that he's given when he's much older, talking about his love and how he still misses her. And, so Carey Mulligan plays his love interest in the film, Miss Montalegre, and she's great. She's really, really terrific. I think it's really hard for her to give a bad performance. I don't know if I've seen a bad Carey Mulligan performance. She has such a great dramatic range, and it's no different here. She's not acting circles around people, but Bradley Cooper is doing his showy, flashy thing, and she's given what feels like a really grounded, genuine performance in a film that sees, we understand that Leonard Bernstein, despite having a wife and family, it lightly touches on how, he's in this musical world. He's an artist. He's in New York. He's got many friends, men and women. Matt Bomer's in the movie. I was kind of looking forward to him having maybe more of a supporting role in a film, and he's really only in it for 5 minutes or whatever. But, they're like, oh, Leonard liked men and women. And even when he was married, still liked men and younger men. They make a lot of allusions. They touch on a few things here and there. The wife, obviously, it's like, well, he's a genius. And when you're burdened with genius, sometimes they don't always know how to act. I don't know. This was a weird one where I came out of the movie feeling like, what did they want me to learn? Because there's also multiple segments that are, 5 to 6 minutes long of Bradley Cooper doing some crazy conducting. And to his credit, I'm sure he really studied hard, because for what feels like five uninterrupted minutes, he's doing all those crazy movements, telling you when to come in on the violin, staccato this, hold that, give me a little bit more power back there, whatever it is. He's killing it. And he's sweating, and he's just going crazy up there, and the orchestra's playing phenomenal music, and it's like, wow, this is really impressive. He's working really hard up there. And then it was like, okay, that was great. Back to some of the story, and we're jumping around between time periods now. Leonard's still married, still kind of doing his thing. You're like, he talks about a lot of things he wants to achieve, but then they never really totally touch on that. And the way that they kind of catch you up on what he's been doing or some of his accolades is like, radio broadcast talking to you about Leonard Bernstein, and we're doing whatever here. 5-time Grammy Award winner, 2-time Tony Award winner. They're like, oh yeah, he wrote the music for West Side Story, and I was like, that's just like a throwaway tidbit that they're talking about on air with something. So I don't know. I was really hoping for more, I guess, or I was really hoping for more of like a cohesive story or something that they really felt like they wanted to tell, because I feel like they could have spent more time with him and his wife exploring their relationship, but it was more like, look what she puts up with because he's genius and he's gifted and blah blah blah. And again, she plays her part as great as she can. I think it's one of the better performances from any of the supporting actresses this year, for sure. It just felt like, all right, well, I feel like we didn't really achieve the goal that was set out to be, because it becomes kind of the Bradley Cooper show, unfortunately. And he's great. I don't think it's his best performance. I think he is working his hardest in here, and you can just tell that he really wants to do this well. And, he throws in a lot of, because the film starts back in the 30s or 40s, 50s, whatever, you have this black and white setting. The music is all throwback, the cars, the buses, everything is styled so well. And so it's delightful to watch in portions, especially. But by and large, the sum of all its parts, I think, leaves you wanting a lot more. I certainly felt like I didn't get a lot out of it. And so, despite all the awards chatter and things it's been getting, other than Carey Mulligan and maybe the music, this is one that kind of missed the mark for me. Definitely still checking out, especially when it comes out on Netflix. It's definitely worth a watch. You will learn something about Leonard Bernstein, but I don't know if it's what like they would want you to know about him. The makeup work is great. I gotta say that this is some of the best makeup work, especially on Bradley Cooper. Just as he gets older through the years, I was really, really impressed just with how they aged him and how natural it looked and how he sounded. But seeing like sweaty 80-year-old Bradley Cooper in a club, like, I don't know, there's weird moments where you're like, what am I watching? Why are you highlighting this instead of spending time with your wife and on this relationship? But I digress. I know Mans wants that Oscar, so it is what it is. As always, stay tuned to NT Movie Reviews on all social media networks, podcast platforms, and YouTube for all your latest on movie news and reviews. Oscar season keeps chugging along, so you're just going to get more of these. So stay tuned, because there's bound to be something that I like and that you like. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.